As the world evolves, so does the availability of natural resources that make life as we know it possible. Unfortunately, recent history has put multiple industries in crisis, and there is a bubble that could be about to burst. We're talking precisely about the scarcity of natural resources such as steel, copper, aluminum, and other metals and minerals that have caused multiple industries to set off their alarms in the face of rising raw material prices. 2021 closed with figures that represent maximum peaks in the cost of many resources. And this could further slow down the economic recovery after the pandemic. We must be prepared for any economic bubble, and that's why we have made an in-depth analysis of what could be the next crisis to hit the world. Is it possible to make investments to take advantage of the crisis? Which industries will be the most affected by the scarcity of resources? How will this bubble affect your daily life? These and many other questions will be answered right now. Hello everyone, and welcome to Novarise, your channel for financial education. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more videos like this. The pandemic broke the first link in the chain. The production of industries had to stop, and the gap between supply and demand widened. This started an inflationary process of which we're still victims. But what was happening inside the most powerful companies in the world? The alarms were sounding for an economic crisis that was about to start. Months later, the threat came true. The prices of products that represent raw materials for many industries are increasing, and one of the most notorious ones is steel. By August 2020, the price of a 1-ton metal coil was $449. Exactly a year later, in August 2021, the price had tripled to $1,941, and today it is around $1,500 with constant ups and downs. Seeing that jump in the price of this resource, you might probably wonder, is it possible to invest in steel and take advantage of this abrupt increase? The short answer is yes. More details later. Continuing with the steel bubble, Bank of America was one of the pioneers in raising the alarm on the steel industry. One of their analysts, Tim Turner, a specialist with more than 2 decades of experience in the metals industry, said that it is very appropriate to describe this as a bubble. CRU Group's principal consultant, Josh Spores, told CNBC that the steel situation has turned into a bubble. So they go higher because they go higher. And as prices rise, global production has declined, as shown by the World Steel Association, which reported a 9.9% drop in November 2021. But why is steel so important? And why is its scarcity an economic threat? The CEO of the American Iron and Steel Institute, Kevin Dempsey, explained that they estimate that 5 million tons of metal are added to the demand in the United States for every $100 billion in investments that are made in infrastructure. And as the world's population increases, you can imagine what this means for the steel industry. Of course, the construction industry is not the only one affected by the global shortage of steel. There are many other markets that depend on this product as a raw material, among which are the auto industry, energy, agro-industry, technology, transportation, and packaging. According to a study made by Oxford Economics, steel represents 3.8% of the world's GDP. But of that percentage, only 20% is based on the steel industry itself, leaving the remaining 80% to all companies that need steel to complete their supply chain. This only means global dependence on steel is real. Its scarcity, as well as the increase in demand and the rise in prices, could be the cause of the next crisis. Meanwhile, steel companies are trying their best to reduce the gap between supply and demand, and of course to take advantage of the crisis that has manifested in this sector. The Wall Street Journal reported that steel companies estimate that the high demand in the market will extend throughout 2022, and this is why they have decided to build new mills and increase prices of their largest clients corresponding to two sectors in particular. Again, the auto industry and manufacturers of appliances. Steel Dynamics CEO Mark Millett spoke about the company's earnings, saying that they are bullish for the fourth consecutive quarter and that they start 2022 more positive than ever. The largest supplier of steel to the auto industry in the United States, Cleveland-Cliffs, reported that buyers are willing to pay more while supplies are negotiated for 2022. You heard right. Companies that depend on steel are willing to pay more. But what does that translate into? That's right, an increase in production costs and, of course, in final prices. The latest 2021 quarterly report from the Bank of Spain revealed that the supply shortage has affected 37% of the country's companies, and they were forced to reduce their supply. Also, the automotive company Ford called the metal shortage as another problem that vehicle manufacturers face, which has caused them to cut their production and increase their prices around the world. So is the automotive industry the only one affected by this situation? Of course not. And steel is not the only resource generating problems with the famous supply-demand, and this leads to a great threat to economies. The lack of steel is not the only cause of a potential crisis. There are other metals and resources in general that are clouding the outlook for many companies. One of those materials is copper. Copper is highly used for its electrically conductive qualities and malleability, and this metal is another one that has taken a leap in price due to the supply-demand factor and production processes. In March 2020, the price of a ton of copper was $4,684, while today it is $9,612. The massive use of this necessary resource for cars, trains, airplanes, appliances, telephones, and more has created an increasing shortage. The National Institute of Statistics of Chile, the largest copper-producing country in the world, reported a decrease in its production figures last year, just as other producing countries have reported. Bank of America also reported that average inventories in tons of copper are at minimum levels never seen in the last 15 years. Also, based on that, they project that the price per ton of copper by 2025 could reach $20,000. The truth is that no matter how much effort is made to accelerate the production of materials that are scarce today, the task is complex. According to the International Energy Agency, it takes an average of 16 years from the discovery of a deposit of some resource for a mine to begin extraction. Aluminum is another metal that currently has its highest price in 13 years, while production levels are below normal. As of April 2020, the cost per ton of aluminum was $1,421. While today, the price for the same ton is $2,740. The constant price increase of aluminum is most likely due to the constant interruption of production in China, due to the shortage of energy in that country, and the high cost of the raw material used to manufacture this material, such as bauxite, another resource whose price has escalated to unthinkable levels. Aluminum is a fundamental resource for many industries, such as automotive, mass transportation, construction, packaging, and many more. The rise of the prices of these materials and at the same time their scarcity could lead us closer to a global crisis and test the resilience of not only large industries but also microeconomies and, of course, personal finances. But is it possible to protect yourself against this situation? Well, as in any crisis or bubble, it is always possible to take advantage of what happens. And in this case, investing could save you from falling into negative red numbers. An investment option would be to buy stocks of companies related to the metals industry. The specialized investment portal Invest listed the 5 best steel stocks to buy in 2022, and these are Steel Dynamics Inc., Olympic Steel Inc., Tata Steel Ltd., Cleveland Cliffs Inc., Stelco Holdings Inc. If you prefer to invest in stocks related to the copper industry, there are 5 companies that are leading the way, selected and analyzed by Invest as well: Rio Tinto Limited, Freeport-McMoRan Incorporated, Southern Copper Corporation, Copper Mountain Mining Corporation, Turquoise Hill Resources Limited. Another investment that seems to be smart at the moment is the purchase of stocks of companies related to renewable energy. According to the Wall Street Journal, the 4 companies that are in the race to buy renewable energy are Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. These 4 companies together have obtained more than 25.7 gigawatts produced by renewable energy plants, which represents 30% of the total renewable energy acquired by corporations worldwide. The global economy has been and will continue to be threatened on multiple fronts. The prices of metals and other resources go through cycles that set off the alarms of different industries, which in the end affect people's personal finances. The beginning of inflationary periods represents a threat to the economies, and when that happens, we must be informed and above all, prepared. Making investments on time and in the right sectors could help you get through hard times. As always, remember to do a thorough market research before deciding to put your money in the stocks of a company, an investment fund, crypto, or any other type of investment. Now I want to hear about you. What will you be investing in? What do you think about this? Do you think this can happen? What would you do to be prepared? And since you're here, do not forget to check this episode that's gonna help you complement everything you just learned today. Take care, bye-bye!